Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards here for Pawsome Stamps today, and I'm very excited to be sharing these Christmas tags that I made. I'm using the absolutely gorgeous Gingerbread Lane stamp set today. I love this one. So many cute images, and you could create so many wonderful scenes with this stamp set. Absolutely adore it. So I've left my colouring in today. I don't always do this, but it's very, very simple colouring, so I kind of just wanted to share what I was doing. I'm just using 2 shades of each colour for my colouring. So for my browns, I'm using my Artify Alcohol markers today. And I'm using Y811 and Y822 for my little gingerbread people. So all I'm doing is using the darker marker to create my shadow, which is going to be all the way around the edge of my gingerbread men and women. And then I'm just shading in with the lighter marker. And I will do that with both the little boy and girl. Now I am creating 6 shaker tags today. So I have stamped a whole bunch of these out. I'm doing 1 little boy and 1 little girl gingerbread for each of the tags. So I'm doing 6 of each type in total. I have stamped a whole load out on another piece of card, which I've already gone ahead and coloured. I didn't want to show you all the colouring because I thought you might get a little bit bored. But I kind of made these production line style today, and it works really, really well. It does take a little bit of time, I won't lie, but you can kind of do bits and pieces, and then putting them together is quite simple. So what I mean by that is you could sit down and have a die cutting session and get all of your die cuts all ready and prepared. You could then stamp out all your images and colour them all in. You could maybe do that while you're watching some TV or got some other downtime. And then it's just a case of putting everything together. And it's a great way to make multiples of things, especially for Christmas. I find, I don't know if you're the same, but generally when Christmas rolls around, I find I haven't made nearly enough. I am trying to be a lot better this year and get ahead with my Christmas crafting. So throughout the year, I have been making some cards and tags and things so that I have a little bit more in my arsenal. Because normally what happens is my family come to me and say, hey, I need a Christmas card for this person or that person, or I need a Christmas gift and have you got a tag I can pop on it? And I don't have anything. So because I just haven't done enough. So this year I'm trying to be much better, and I just thought that this kind of mass production way of doing it was a really good way of getting a nice little stack of things together in one foul swoop. And as I say, I've made 6 little tags today, and yes, the die cutting took a little bit of time, the colouring took a little bit of time, but actually altogether I probably spent about 2.5 hours making these 6 tags. And I did fussy cut all of my images. So you could, if you had the coordinating dies, which are available, you could definitely be a little bit quicker. And as I say, I found it was a good afternoon, well spent, making some stuff for my little Christmas stockpile. So I am doing my tags in shades of kind of this tealy blue, turquoisey colour and pink. I chose these colours because this is the colour of cardstock that I'm using for my tag bases. And I was kind of inspired by those colours to use them in my colouring as well. So for my little pinks, I'm using R302 and R304. For my little turquoisey kind of tealy blue colours, I'm using B502 and 514. And I'm colouring all the kind of little accessory images with those shades as well. Most of them are going to be in those shades of pink, and I'm throwing in these cool greys, CG00 and 01, just to add some shading to the parts that I want to be white. You can, of course, leave them as they are, but I like to add a little bit of this grey just to kind of make them look like they have a bit of shadow and a bit of dimension, as you would see in a real object. So that's the idea of using these greys, but use them quite sparingly. And make sure that you kind of don't fill in the entire area with those grey markers, or it will just end up looking grey. But adding a touch just makes it look white with a bit of shadow. So yeah, I've chosen to use the same colours throughout, and I am just, the only other shade I'm throwing in there is this kind of green colour, which I'm going to use for the trees and for the wreaths. I did think about doing my wreaths all with pink bows and make the wreaths these tealy blue colours, but I decided against that. I didn't feel that they would look quite right, so I just went with a kind of traditional green combination for my trees and wreaths. So for my little wreaths, I'm doing 3 of them with this tealy turquoisey blue color ribbon and 3 of them with the pink ribbon. And I'm not going to show me coloring in everything. I don't want to bore you too much, so I'm just going to show you one of each thing. But you can see how I've done the little candy canes and the little lollipops. I've done the strings of lights on the trees in those pinks and turquoise colors. I've done the little heart on the tree in the pink, and then the little pot that the tree is standing in that kind of gray combination to make it look white. I am going to colour the stem of the tree in those darker brown colours, which I used for the gingerbread man's hair. And then I'm going to be pulling out these green colours, which are G303 and G001. These are kind of quite pastel-y, pale green, and I think they work nicely with my little combination of pinks and turquoise. Bear in mind, you can definitely make these any colour combinations you want. Make them work for what you've got with your Christmas paper or your Christmas decorations in your home, and you can really go to town with it. Obviously, these would look great in traditional red and greens of Christmas. They would look great in kind of like purpley colours, and I mean, Christmas trees can be decorated anyway now. I've seen so many and so many different combinations, and you could make this work for whatever you've got going on in your home, whatever your wrapping is, if you want to coordinate your tags with your wrapping paper. But I just really liked these colour combinations, and this was the kind of cardstock I said that I used for my tag backers, so I kind of wanted everything to coordinate in that way. So I'm just finishing off with that green. I am going back in a couple of times with the darker one just to create a bit more of a shadow. And there you can see I've coloured everything in. And now I'm going to take my white Sakura Jelly Roll pen and add some highlight details to everything. I really like the effect that this gives. I just think it makes the image look a bit more finished and polished, and also gives it a bit more dimension. And it looks kind of cute. I think I'm doing some little white dots on the cheeks of the gingerbread man, and I'm going to be adding some little white dots all over my wreaths just to make them look kind of a bit more sparkly and festive, perhaps like they've got little lights on them. I don't know. I just thought it looked nice. So play around with your white Jelly Roll pen or your white, what's the word I'm looking for, gel pen, and just see what works for you and what you enjoy. But I really like adding this detail on. When I first started using my white gel pen, I was a little bit nervous about where to put my kind of highlight marks and where to put dots and things. Now I kind of just go to town and put it everywhere. And yeah, maybe it doesn't look perfect, but I kind of like doing it. I also have the black Sakura Jelly Roll pen, which I am using to go over my little gingerbread eyes and the center of my lollipops to make them stand out a bit more. So here we go. I've done all my die cutting off screen. So I've created a kind of frame from 2 circle dies, which I stacked together. I've got 2 plain circles, and I've got an acetate sheet in a circle. I've also cut some kind of snowbank style things here, which I'm going to use for the inside of my tags to look like snowbanks. And I'm just going over those with some Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, just to give them a very, very light coating of colour at the very top surface, just to make them stand out a little bit more. Now, as I say, I did this production line style, so I did all of that ink blending. Now I'm taking the backs of the tags, so these pieces are going to be the back of the tags, and I'm stamping my sentiments out. So I'm going to use some white embossing powder on these, so I'm using an anti-static powder tool there, my Versamark ink, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment right into the center. So this sentiment comes from the Gingerbread Lane stamp set, and it says holiday treats just for you, which I thought was perfect for putting on a Christmas gift tag. It would also be perfect for if you are one of these people that is very good at baking and likes to create baked goods to give away. I thought that would be a perfect little tag to put on something like that. Or also just if you make Christmas hampers. I know We had family members that we used to make a hamper for because we couldn't think of anything else to buy them. So we used to get lots of nice treats and goodies to put inside this Christmas hamper, and I thought this gift tag would work really well for that. But for any present or gift would work amazingly. I've also taken the Merry Christmas sentiment from that stamp set, and I found a little to and from in another random stamp set that I had lying around. So I put that at the bottom, and that's going to complete the kind of sentiments on the back of my tag. So I stamped the one in the center first because I wanted to get that in the right placement. I did all 6 of my tags with that sentiment. I didn't have to move it. I just popped my tags into my stamping platform and just did each one by one, and then I did the same with the Merry Christmas and the to and from sentiments. So that will be the back of my tags all complete. I'm just going to take some Polychromos pencils here and fill in that Merry Christmas sentiment. I love the sentiment because it's got this beautiful outline, and you can leave it as is if you want, but I like to fill it in with a little bit of color. So on the 3 turquoise colored cards, I'm doing pink, and on the pink ones, I'm doing turquoise, if that makes sense, just so that everything coordinates and matches together. Now again, assembly line style, I'm going to attach my kind of frame piece to my acetate. Now you will notice this acetate has this kind of snowfall pattern on it. I was very lucky to come across this acetate many years ago. I've had it for ages. I don't even remember where I got it from, but it's perfect for Christmas cards, and luckily I had quite a bit of it. So I really love it because it gives this kind of beautiful snowfall kind of look to the acetate, and you can pop it in front of things and it looks like snow falling. And I just thought it was perfect to use with these tags. So now I'm just laying out my images on my tags, figuring out where I want them to go, and I'm going to glue everything down flat to this back panel that has the kind of snow piece on it. This is not the panel that has my my sentiments on the back. That will go on the back again. I'll explain that as we go along, you'll see what I mean. But this is kind of my front back piece, if you will, and I'm just gonna glue everything down onto that, and I'm using those windows there just to make sure you can see all of my images once you put that kind of frame piece on top, because the frame is quite thick. So I wanted to still be able to see all of my images once that's attached. So I feel like I should explain a little bit more clearly what is involved with each tag. You have to have 2 large circle pieces. You have to have 1 little snowbank, 1 frame, and 1 acetate piece, as well as all your images. So the 2 larger circle pieces are going to be both used for the backing of the tag. One is obviously going to have the snowbank and is going to be facing forward. One is going to have the sentiment and is going to be facing outward, if that makes sense. And they're going to sandwich the piece of twine that I'm going to use for my kind of attachment piece in between them. And you'll see what I mean in a minute when we come to doing that part. But at the moment, I'm just making sure that everything is nice and securely fastened down with my glue. I'm adhering everything nice and flat because these are going to be shaker tags, and I want my shaker bits to kind of be able to move freely inside and not get caught on anything inside the well of the shaker. So just making sure that everything's going to fit nicely. So here's where I'm talking about this piece of twine. So on the back of the piece that I've just worked on, so the piece with the snowbank, I'm going to attach some double-sided tape. This is nice and strong, and it's going to secure my piece of twine down nicely. So I'm just using that twine, turning my panel back over so I can see the front of it, and trying to line it up fairly centrally to the top of the tag. Then I have this other piece which I already heat embossed my sentiments onto, and I'm going to use some liquid glue, and I'm going to sandwich that on top over the twine so it covers up that piece, makes it look nice and finished, and just holds everything down nice and securely. I'm using quite strong liquid glue so it will all stay down nicely and everything will be well attached. Plus I've got that double-sided tape in there to hold the string on as well. And then I'm just going to pop an acrylic block on it to keep it down securely while I work on all of them. So I've done that for all 6. Now I've attached some foam tape all the way around the edge of the frame piece. so that you can't see it from the outside when you look in. And I'm using some anti-static powder tool to go over all the edges of that foam and also over the images, because obviously they were stuck down with glue. I don't want any other excess glue seeping out and making it sticky anywhere else. I'm using this gorgeous sequin mix from Pawsome Stamp. It's called Sparkling Mint, and I also have a few little iridescent stars that I've thrown in there as well. If you know me, you know that I don't like to overfill my shaker cards, so I've kept it fairly sparse. I like them to be able to move around nice and freely, and I think if you overfill them, you lose that kind of shaker part of it. So that's what I've done. I've just attached my frame down on top, and you can see it's working nicely. And isn't it cute? Would make a great little ornament. So there's all 6 of them all completed, and as a finishing touch I have the little wreaths that I had already colored and cut out, and I'm just going to attach each one of those on top where that kind of twine comes out of the top, just to give it a nice little polished finish. So for the pink bows, I've put them on the turquoise tags, and for the turquoise bows I've put them on the pink tags, just so everything coordinates nicely and works well together. And that is it. Those are my little tags completed. I had so much fun making them today and so much fun coloring these images. They're so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you come back again, and thank you so much for joining me today. Here's another video that you might enjoy. Take care.